Welcome to the Security by Default podcast, the podcast where firewalls are hot, passwords are long and strong, and cybercriminals are probably listening to. I'm your host, Joseph Carson, ethical hacker, security nerd, and the guy who reads the terms and conditions so you don't have to. Each episode will break down the weird, wild world of cybersecurity, minus the jargon, and plus a few laughs. Whether you're a pro or just here to figure out what the hell zero trust really means, you're in the right place. Let's get secure and have a little fun on the way too. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Security by Default podcast. I'm the host of the show, Joe Carson. It's a pleasure to have you all back and listening to another excellent, exciting episode. And this is one I've been waiting for a long time. And we've been chatting. I can't remember how long we've been chatting about this, but it's been a while. So I'm really excited to have an amazing person on who's helped me when I've actually been stuck. When you're stuck in the ruts and you're trying to figure and get some, see the light in some way out. I'm joined by the awesome Christian Herrmann, also AKA Iceman. And I'd love to know what is your origin story? How did you get into this industry? And I'd also love to know about the Iceman alias as well, how that came about as well.
Thank you for having me, man. Like you said, it's been a long time in the making. But yeah, we met, was it last year at B-Sides Tallinn?
B-Sides Tallinn, absolutely. A little bit before that, we bumped into each other during DEF CON as well.
DEF CON as well, yeah. It's hard to remember all the faces, but I remember when we sat in Tallinn and you had a cute little dog with you.
Oh, my little poodle. Poodle, isn't she? She's somewhere around here. I think she's underneath.
Love that dog. So I'm Iceman. And I do RFID hacking. That's what I do. And I usually is very, very intimately connected with a device called a Proxmark 3.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, if I can rewind back to myself now. Let's see, how did this all started? It started way back. It's like a decade. Somewhere around 2011, I got divorced. And it was crap. I think it was the darkest time in my life. And I can only describe a couple of months there as black. That's all I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided one of the process steps in your life is to lift yourself up again, bootstrap you over again. And I was like, so what do you like, Christian? What do you like to do in your life? And I was like, I love computers.
Mm-hmm.
I really love it. I've been doing computers since I was 7. I hacked every computer, whatever touched. I always find it tremendously fun. Like, I know 8 or 12 different software programming languages, which I taught myself all over years, right? I just love it. It's the whole mystery of computers. Like, whoo, interesting. It's like looking at things, it's triggers. I just find it tremendously fun, right? So during this time of sorrow and blackness,
mm-hmm.
I didn't find anything fun, not even computers, because I made, when I was living together and getting kids and getting divorced, you made working with computers as your job, and that kind of takes away the fun part of the job, because it becomes job, and it slowly kills the joy you have for something if you keep on doing things for money. But I was like coming back to myself, and I was like, I need to do something for myself. It's like, I spend something on me, and I'm like, there was an article in another town on the other side of Sweden that they were talking hacker space in Umeå, and they were making fuzz and making articles in newspapers about how they hacked the local bus transportation ticket system. Mm-hmm. And they used a device called Proxmark 3 and talked about that. And I think RFIDs, that's kind of interesting. I felt curiosity. It's like, how does it work? Be honest. You take a card. I'm going to take just one because I have tons of them here, as you see. You take one of these cards.
You have a lot of those cards.
I have loads of those cards. And you put it to a reader and something happens. And I'm like, how on earth does this work? Adam Laurie says it's best, like magic moonbeams. I want to know more. So that sparked a little bit of interest. Turns out that the same bus transport system that they had up in that town, they have it here in my town. I live on the upper side of Sweden. And I was like, maybe I should do something naughty. Maybe I should go and get myself a hacker too. I never spend money on myself, right? So like a Proxmark 3. So I go type in on the AliExpress or Google or whatever you did back then, and it comes up this device that says Proxmark 3. It's $330. this thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's a lot of money, but I'm going to spend it for me, right? So type it in and you're all excited, that little rush what you get from that. And then you forget about it because nothing happens, right? It's like you don't get it the next day.
It takes some weeks, sometimes even months, depending on where it's coming from.
It takes some weeks. But then you get this notice saying that you got a package to, pick up, and you go and pick it up and go like, oh, you're all giggling excited and you feel like happy enjoying it. You open it up, like a little boy, and you open it up and it's a circuit board and 2 antennas. And I'm like, now what? I thought I would get a device.
There's always fun when you do order something and you see the finalized, the view, the picture that looks, it's all completed. And then when you get something in the post, it's like, it's the parts and you have to get into actually building it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Whole different thought process.
I've done a lot of software development, right? Sounds like embedded. I've never done that. So I started and I was like, I'm going to go this. And I was on the Proxmark forums and I started asking questions. And because I ask questions, that's how I do things. I have no problem being wrong. I have no problem of being fault and asking questions to correct myself, to learn more and getting hinters. So I did that. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, do you have Linux? Oh, I'm going to use Ming here. All right.
You're originally a Windows developer, a driver.
Yeah, for sure. .NET developer, right? Oh, yeah. I'm like an enterprise architect design. I got my wall of shame up here. I can see it here on your image now, but yeah, that's my
.NET framework.
Yeah. The highest one, but nobody ever asked about. And sorry for all your listeners who only listen in anyway. So I was like, I'm going to do this. Yay. And I kind of failed. Nothing worked. So I asked questions more. What doesn't work? And I go like, have you followed the guide? It's like, I don't need a guide. I should be able to. I'm a developer. I've done this computers for ages. So I failed. And I got very disappointed after 2 weeks that I did. And, it's like, fuck it. So you put it all back in the box. I put it up there in the corner here. You can see it again. But I have a shelf up there. So I put it there. And then it was like a hat. It was like a cat has this hate and love relationship with you. It's looking down and you're looking up and it reminds you about your failure. And it's like, it's like, it reminds you about the money you spent on it. It reminds you about how bad you are. And you felt bad as I was, this was supposed to be something funny for me, to be exciting, make me happy again.
It's a bit of a hobby that you wanted to kind of, get the enjoyment back. Because as you said, in this industry, I have the same challenge, is that it's my hobby, it's my fun, it's my passion. But then when that line of job overtakes it and becomes dominant, and you start doing more of the things you don't enjoy, and you're trying to find that balance back, and you're always looking for, I think for me, I'm always looking for toys. What can I do that will bring that passion back again, that will get me excited?
Well, you got kids as well, don't you? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Family life takes tremendous amount of time.
It does take a lot of that time, yes.
Right? You don't get free time for yourself. So I got 2 kids, doing that, raising the kids as a single father, then it's rough. It's less time, and I run my own company as a software developer. So that takes even more time, right? But you still want to have that extra little joy things, right? Then you try to work out and all that stuff. So anyway, so I'm back to the story. I'm going to go back. So I was sitting there because I was not ready to learn. I didn't embrace my failure and say, be humble again, right? So this is step 1 when you want to learn something, something new. Accept that you're not good at it. Become humble. It's like, it's okay not to know. It is. So after 6 months, I was ready. I took it again. And I spent so much money that I talked to myself, I'm going to open up, I'm going to do one more try. And if it doesn't work then, fine, I'm going to accept failure. So I put it up and I was like, everybody talks about a guide. I was like, find the guide, step 1, and it compiled. Step 2, flashing. I can never flash an embedded device. I don't know if you've done that before. That's kind of scary.
It is scary. Because when it goes wrong, it goes horrible wrong.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but it worked. Have a good day. Okay, great. And now I memorized all the steps because now I have done all that research. Now I'm typing in with Proxmark and on the COM port, and the Proxmark client comes up, and I'm, the excitement. And I run out to a desk and get my transport card that I had, run out, smack it on the antenna, and I type in HFMF. What side was it? And I press enter, and I knew it comes up this text. Executing dark side attack, average runtime 25 seconds. And on 27 second, the key comes up and I'm like, yes! That dopamine rush of cracking the first key. And the rest is history. That's why I'm here.
That rush got you excited that it turned into a career.
Oh, obsession. Yeah, it was like that. So so that started asking questions, and then I started doing more stuff, and that's how I come intimately connected with the Proxmark. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! I also, kind of always brings me back to the time. I think it was around 2014 that I was doing. It was actually master's students for cybersecurity in Estonia, and it was I was basically helping out the university doing some courses and workshops and stuff. And I was asked by the dean, who was would I be interested in mentoring some of the students for their thesis? And I thought, oh, this is interesting. So I was like, sure, absolutely. So I ended up getting paired up with this former Colombian Air Force pilot. One of the most unusual pairings. And that pairing was a change. It was a whole change of my career. I mean, these are the moments where you think that I'm helping someone, but in turn, they're actually helping me. They're giving me new ideas. And ultimately, the person's thesis was actually on drone hacking.
Wow.
So that was what the thesis was about. It was taking drones and understanding about the risk profile of different drones, from ultimately understanding about the power, the power need for the antenna, and also the signal and the energy usage. So all of that to determine for different types of drones how much power you needed and what type of antenna you needed to be able to hack in or take over the drone itself.
So you were into drone hacking way back in 2014.
2014.
Before the wars in Ukraine.
Wow. So, and for me, that was interesting. He created this prototype. It always reminds me a bit of Cactus Man. What's his name? Remember he had the cactus at DEF CON?
Dark Matter.
Dark Matter. Yes, it always reminds me because it was a very similar setup, not as elaborate with his pineapples, but
that's mad.
But it was a mini version of it. And so this master's student was doing the whole thesis. I was mentoring and we helping him from basically doing the risk mapping side of things, and we were helping formatting and with the research side of things. And it got really interesting because then at one point in time he had created this device which was actually used in order to analyze signals from drones. So from basically the control pad to the actually receiver on the drone itself. And it turned into that basically it was Raspberry Pis with a couple of SDR antennas set up on it. So that was used, and then also a car battery to power it. And then ultimately from that, he decided we actually repurposed it. I had a pen test engagement in Belgium for a transportation maritime agency. And we decided, okay, let's take the device that he had created for drone hacking and modify it slightly in order to then pick up other types of signals. And then we kind of broadened the range to looking at things like RFID door signals, to Bluetooth, to Wi-Fi. So we expanded the whole setup. And that for me got me really interested. And so I ended up as like, okay, I end up deciding I need to get myself some of these toys. So I looked and started with a Proxmark. And I felt really bad. I think similar to you, I think it was maybe about a month after I got it, and I'd already done my first, basically cracking the keys in some cards. And I think I made a mess up because I ended up having a mismatch between versions on the client and the COM on the version on the Proxmark. And when I end up doing the connection and doing the update, it bricked it. And I was so devastated. For me, and because at the time, it's a lot of money you're spending on those devices. They're not, even the SDR side of things and the RFID, because they're all very similar. They're all using radio in order to basically communicate. Some are on the low frequency side, some on the high frequency, some on the ultra high frequency. So it really comes down to basically the radio strength and signal. And when I bricked that Proxmark, I was so devastated. I was so upset with myself. And that's why, to your point is I felt failure. I was like, can I do this? And I remember that I was trying to, look at all the forums and look for help. And I reached out to you, and you gave me some tips about what I made the mistake into, where I made the mismatched versions, and I didn't have the right privileges set on it. And I was like, okay, so how do I go through? And there was literally no proper documentation how to unbrick it. There was nothing. It was like there was spattered pieces all over.
Yeah.
If you get this far, then you can do this. Like there was no central way. I ended up creating one myself. And I found, so I pulled out I had a bunch of Bus Blaster and Bus Pirate sitting on my shelf that I'd done before for doing some kind of, just basically just reading firmware and stuff from chips. And I thought, okay, all of this points me that I need to pull out my old dusty Bus Pirate. I was like, okay, here we go. And then having to then compile the firmware, and then also having to use the Bus Pirate in order to connect to the JTAG, and then also to hit the pin 55. I always remember pin 55.
Oh, you had one of those Proxmark Easies.
That was the easy one at the time as well. Yeah. But I also had the Proxmark RDV4. I didn't have to do that, but the easy, you actually had to reset the chip on pin 55, and that was just and to your point, I think when I all of a sudden got it flashed and got it working afterwards, the joy, and the excitement, it was like, oh, I did it.
I can do things.
It's
like when you swap the tires for the first time.
I think it is. It's when you're able to actually do something. That other people might say, like, oh, that's like quite easy to do. But once you do it yourself, you feel empowered. You feel like, superpowers have just went through you.
Yes. And I think it's exactly what you said. It was no documentation. It was a scatter all over the internet, right? And it was so hard to find things, or it was like come together. So the Proxmark forum was the center point of information where you can actually talk about things. But there was a kind of strange attitude there. It's like, it's like keeping things to itself, The OGs there were really hard to get into this, you were new, so you weren't allowed to know things. I remember just to get to know people, they have to prove that you have access to a key. So there was the iClass PicoPass key that everybody has today. That one, so he encrypted his email with that key, and then I have to decrypt it to prove that I had it in order to email him. And I'm like, yeah, back in the days, it was a little bit harder to get in touch with people.
It was, and I only knew people through their alias names as well. I didn't know who they were.
I still do that. I don't know any.
So, but it set off a passion for me as well. I think I've gone down the path. I've spent tons of money on Easies, Chameleons, Proxmarks, antennas, flippers. I mean, I think I have pretty much most of the Chameleon versions that's out there. And, just curious about the differences between each of them, what the capabilities are, the portability, what types of keys can you basically crack as well.
You need to know that as well, because you are into that sector of red teaming and pen testing as well. And then you need to know what kind of tools are out there and the capabilities. So you need to buy all that shit.
Yeah.
So to say. And you need to understand it to a certain technical level, not just reading an overview and think that you can get by with it. Because you have touched the Proxmark, you know how fiddly it could be. Even if a flipper is very easy to handle with its, buttons and menus, it doesn't mean that you understand what you're doing.
Correct.
And if you're going to be a good pen tester, this is a second lesson, is learn the tools of a trade. Just learn them hard. Let's learn it. It's not easy. It's not going to be light. It's not going to be fun all the time, but you have to do the very, very hard. What do you call that in English?
It's do the proper, basically, homework and research. Is it really kind of? I always say that I think that's one of the fundamentals. I think that's probably where the likes of yourself and me, we come from very different backgrounds in education. Was that the things didn't exist? You actually had to understand and build it yourself. You had to find out the undercurrent. There was no easy front end tool that simply just did it all for you. We actually, to your point, is we had to open the bonnet of the car and twiddle things around to understand about when things weren't working or when there was a new noise of the day. What the hell? What's that noise that's coming from the engine? And that's really where you start learning, because you're breaking at the same time.
Yeah, that's how you learn. You learn by failing and you learn again. But it's also this: you didn't have access to documents. Data sheets, you didn't have a methodology like now, but you have thousands of videos out there, how to do things, how to run things. And the biggest joke that was out there was like, yeah, the Proxmark can do everything, but you have to implement it yourself.
Yes.
And that was the joke. And I never understand that as a joke until you got really into it and realized, holy crap, yes, it's possible for this device to do it. but you have to do it. Here's open source. And that's what's the biggest change happened somewhere when you start, okay, well, software I know. This is my home job, I can do this. So I'm going to do this. See, but no problem. So I have to learn that and start doing things, So everything you see today, you have to realize all RFID hacking tools that you have access today, all the information and knowledge and hacks comes down to 2 projects. One is libNFC and the other one is Proxmark free. Those are the 2 fundamentals, right? Everything builds upon what's released as open source there. And if it wasn't for open source, you wouldn't have had any of this easeability or ease of access or ease of use like you see today. And people go like, oh yeah, it's easy and stuff. No, it was hard-earned sweat who made that happen, right?
Yes, it was because of other people who made the foundation, made it easier for everyone else because they did the hard work at the beginning. So tell me more about when you got more involved. You started working on the Proxmark forums and then started doing your own builds as well. Kind of what was the steps in that and how did that get started?
It was just fluke, I guess. I think I just inspire people naturally by being me. And what you see is what you get. I don't have very much of a facade, right? It's just me. So I have no problem asking questions and being wrong and doing things and still putting in effort. Like I said, the OGs back in the days, they were really rough. And the ones who were maintaining the original Proxmark forum, the open source project, they were really protective and didn't like my changes. Why do you want to make it so easy for people? They wanted you to do the signal, looking at the data plot window, and then manually pick out the bits, and then decode it in Manchester, and then know how to decompile the VGAND into numbers, right? Facility code card numbers. And I'm like, I know how to do it because I did the hard work, but it sucks. And if I'm going to research a card, I don't want to sit and do this manual labor. But this is not a computer for me. This is what I have a computers for. So I started doing these things, right?
You want to automate. You want to do things quicker.
To do proper research, you need to have the tools working for you, right? So you build your tool sets, your bag of tools. You have that. You have to develop it. So that's what it was. I tried to be better myself and realize, okay, let's do it. Let's start. Let's add on. And then people done blog posts everywhere, like you said, that was scattered out. So I started like, all right, I'm going to pull in all this stuff everywhere and unify it because I think it's great. Why can't we have it in one package instead of having 15 different projects? If you want to do that, you have to go to this one there. And this one is not on GitHub. This is on the other Google code. And this is on, some web page. This is a blog post for pen testers partners. And this was all over the box, right? And I'm like, let's make it all together. So I started doing that. And the biggest liberation was when I realized if I fork it, I can put all of my stuff in there and I don't have to be questioned about it, why I have it. I can make it and form it in the way that makes it better, right? In the way that I want to work with it. So what you see is a manifestation of how I like to work with the tool, how I expect it to work with. And that was the beginning of what is called the Iceman fork and what I'm known for and all that, because that was people started using that one more and more because it worked and it was easier to work and had this fun stuff and was just in one place instead of an official one. So for many years it was like going back and forth. And then around 2017 when we released the RDV4, I was approached by some of the community people and Dennis and Proxguide and Kevin Baker, ZeroXSF, and we made this hardware project called RDV4. And from there on, it's, I just started adding more and more stuff. But it grew slowly. So I posted many things. All of a sudden, ZeroXSF, who was the administrator of the forum, he made me a moderator, but he didn't tell me. I didn't know until someone mailed to me and said, well, since you're a moderator, can you fix this issue? I'm like, what? I don't know. What are you talking about, moderator? And I had to go in and it's like, oh, I'm a moderator. Oh, thanks. How did that happen? Nobody tell me.
Yeah, it just happened in secret. It's just like let's look through and see who's doing a lot of the work and who's saving us lots of time.
Yeah, who has the right attitude, right? Learning in open source, and it's a mindset, I guess, and willing to share and all that stuff. Yeah, so it's ended up that way, and then I ended up being an administrator at the forum, and I got into becoming a maintainer actually for the official repo, of course, and that as well. But I was doing my things and having fun, and I always backported everything that came on the official one. I backported it down into mine, and then for a while it was so spread The code base was so diverse had diverged so much from official one, so it was not worth the effort to try to backport it onto official again. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. So I just kept on doing this, and that is the fork that is making what people use still today, right? So if you use a Proxmark, that's what you use.
It's the same for me is all my builds are using Iceman build because becomes, I know where everything is. It becomes so stable as well, because when once you have stability, that makes a big difference. And I haven't bricked across my fingers in quite a few years now.
You don't brick it anymore, right? You don't brick it. You have help text. It acts like you want to do. It reports back. It gives you hints. It uses colors. It reconnects. Everything of those items, I was told that this is impossible to do. And then I've proven wrong always by implementing it slowly and slowly and slowly. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was never impossible. It's like, I'm not going to do this. And that's the whole thing. That's number 3 I wanted for people to listen into. Don't listen too much on your heroes, or just because it says something in a data sheet doesn't mean that it's true. That's the backtech. That's how we hack things. The data sheet is like a documentation, and then you just do your own fucking thing with it, with fuzzing, and you try new things and whatever, and all of a sudden you end up doing weird, crazy shit that was not possible before, and voila, you're a hacker.
Absolutely. I mean, I think also it was a big change as well. I mean, you look at even the last 10 years, lots of, once the technology has advanced so much, it's used on almost everything today, from like packaging in shops, basically, to my, 3D printer that has RFID tags to determine basically what's the filament in the printer itself. Everything today is expanded just from years ago, what was basically the key card to get on a bus or to get on a train or to open your front door, but where it was more about access controls then, to now it's more about data sharing and sensors and everything else. So it has expanded quite a lot. And I think some of the foundational work that you've done also brought a lot more people into the interest. At the same time, the technology is kind of getting more broadly used everywhere. That at the same time, you have a lot more people coming in with diversity and different backgrounds and different skill sets, and then expanding it even further into newer ideas and newer devices. So I do think, a lot of the work that you did was pinnacle into one is also bringing a broader community into it as well, and more ideas and more basically sharing and knowledge. I think one of the best things also for me was when the forum moved to Discord.
Yeah, I like Discord now.
Yeah, or it used to be it was a little bit kind of in GitHub, and then we had
the forum,
the forum. One of those, it was almost static. No one was interacting and communicating, and it wasn't in real time. You'd be looking at posts that got really dated, and then the GitHub was pretty. I mean, it was pretty good, well structured. I have to say, it was well structured and it was good. But then also you can sometimes get lost between pages. If you weren't backlinked properly, and Discord kind of. I think that made it, for me, was the difference where that's when it brought me into the community and to know other people much better and to interact and even be able to chat properly. So that definitely, moving to Discord for the community was a game changer, I think, in the whole time. I think that was maybe, 5-6 years ago now? It was
2020.
2020.
Just around before COVID hit, just around there. It was people like my kids at home were using Discord, and and a lot of people was asking, why don't you exist on Discord? I'm like, I don't want to be on any damn kid's place, and then everybody was on.
It's like, what?
Yes, that's exactly. Well, I don't want to be on Snapchat. It's like, heart bigger down. We got a forum. And then I realized, like you said, it was static and people was not interacting in the same way. And then I tried Discord because I tried Slack. I was on some interesting RFID hacking Slacks, to lives, and that was nice. But I dislike Slack. It's it's like Teams and whatever, and I don't like it, right? And we tried Discord, and man, it was so simple. You just set it up. It was for free, and you can have video calls in it.
Yeah,
audio calls,
chats,
photos, share. It's like, this is perfect, actually. Yeah, and rows, so you can get that, and you can just do this. And it's like,
the searching is pretty good now as well. So that's one thing for me is that when I got in Slack searching history, it was also one of the problems as well. I do a lot of my documentation in OneNote, and OneNote searching was horrible, when you did any special characters. Now that all of that was fixed, and also in Discord as well, and now I can go back and look search easier for things that, I couldn't find or remember, or this piece of documentation, or somebody mentioned something about a key maybe 6 months or a year ago. The search is so much better and so much easier to go through.
Oh, yeah. That really helps. But there's so many people, the young ones today, they really don't like searching.
They ask the question again and again and again.
And the AI slop, God. Well, I don't know English, so I use AI to translate. Yeah, I can tell. Yes, of course, sir, I can do that. And then it comes with text. I'm like, no. It's like, oh. So, I don't know if it's lazy or if it's just their way of solving a problem that they think that they're doing it fast.
I think the problem, I think one of the things is that they might, as technology and everything changes so fast today, they think sometimes maybe that something 3 months ago is not valid anymore. I think just the evolution of change, maybe they're just looking for the latest and greatest, or maybe the updated information. But I'm from a world where things of 5 years ago still work today, so, and they're still valid.
That's the funniest thing, actually. We spend a lot of time with the Proxmark source code, so you can actually use it on the 2011 models, like that back in the day, original ones. You can actually just put this source code, you compile for 256 flash memory, and it will work today. I mean, I jokingly say it, yes. How about that for sustainability, right?
Backwards compatibility, making sure old devices are still actually operational and valid. I mean, I'm still using everything I purchased even back in 2014, 2015, still works today. I do move to the Mini and the Comedian still just from mobility perspective, but the Proxmark, if I need something more complicated or more cracking or more power. But it really comes down to the kind of, I guess, the mobility side of things that you're looking for, moving around.
Well, we were talking about you doing pen tests and red teams and being aware about things, right? Knowing your tools. Another side of that is that you also need to know that the apps that you're using, you have to remember that the Flipper and Flipper app is developed by a Russian company, right?
Pavlo and Anna.
Pavlo and Anna, exactly. No shade on them, but it is what it is. The same goes for where does your files go when you upload things. Same goes for the Chameleon. That's developed by a Chinese group, right? So when you do things and say, we're going to use this tool in a pen test, you better you better know that the app you're using to control those and to the offline cracking part, or when people take a cloner that has online capabilities, same problem there. You take it up and you have to realize you have to do your research and understand, does this phone home or not? Because in the worst case, this device or this app we're using to talk to the device with will send that credential data for cracking in a place most likely where you not want your customer's data to be in.
Absolutely.
I think most of them are benign in the, when looking at it and use open source and all that stuff. But with that said, it's you who has to inform your customers which tools you use and what the downside with it. So something I want to stress for people who is professional in this game.
Absolutely. I think you bring up a really important point, is that when using any tools, that you really understand about basically the supply chain of those tools and ultimately, how they're created. A lot of times for me, even like the Flipper, I actually have to have a completely separate laptop and a separate network just to basically use it, because I will not let it on basically my open network and my other devices. I actually have whole separate segregation in order to be able to use it and understand it and kind of seeing how it works.
Well, if you have customers like Interpol,
yes. So, and the Intel also as well, in addition to that, when I'm traveling, because I do travel a lot, and I've had situations where I get a flight cancellation and now basically I get rerouted and I'm now flying to a country where, maybe they may not have laws, or they have laws that actually make it illegal as well. So it gets into also, as a pen tester, and you're using tools for different, let's say, activities and campaigns, you also have to know the legal side of things as well, especially so for me, sometimes I actually had to put them in a package and post them home. Or if it was software based, I had to go and completely either upload it to a cloud environment or to my own personal environment and wipe it from my machines, so that I'm not traveling through airports or through, potentially if I went through an airport that's one thing. But then if you're forced to leave that airport through immigration, then that becomes, I've had situations where I got rerouted through Canada, and I had to then question, okay, now I have to decide what I'm going to do with all this stuff that's in my bag. Because, Canada might see it as, offensive, illegal tools.
Yeah. So I have two stories to share with you there. One of them is some years ago, 3 years ago, when this debacle about Flipper being a hacking tool, it's not. We try to whitewash it, I know. But
it's a Swiss Army knife of multiple tools bulged into one.
It's just this. They took 6 open source projects for hacking, and they made a very nice form factor for it. And that's what it is. It's a hacking tool. And they only, you can whitewash as much as you want. That's what people want to use it for. So the government came up with it again. So the customs and TSA, there's a note sending out to Five Eyes, and it says, if you get in for question or requesting to open and see your phone, if they see the Flipper app installed on your phone, you will be sent to secondary or the next step where you have to, where we're going to look into if you have that device onto you, and we might take it. Of course, we have to question, why do you have this device? You're not allowed to fly with it either in that case, if it marked you for that. And then you will be forever marked in the database saying that, So that's the first story. What people don't understand, I don't know, I had it in my hand luggage. I used to travel like that until I got a copy of that message, and then I understood. People give me heads up about things. I was like, okay, thank you. The next head up I got is, I didn't do conferences before, right? So I sat home at my office here, and I just had a Proxmark, and people was wondering, how can you make so much? Like, well, I have a Proxmark. Yeah, but what other gear do you have? I have a Proxmark. That's what I have. And I was like, okay, so do you active on hacker conferences? Like, no. So I was like, maybe I should go out to a hacker conference. So I started going to hacker conferences and meeting the hackers.
What was your first one? What was the first, let's say, hacker conference you went to?
Oh, wow. That was just when we dropped the RV4 and we went to Black Alps in Switzerland.
Okay.
That was the first one. That was scary as, that was nerve-wracking.
It's a pretty good community in Swiss. That's actually...
I get to meet some really good people, and turned out some of the people from the forum was there. So we were sitting at my hotel room, and he was showing me how he could, listen to he made a makeshift EM probe for his oscilloscope so he can sniff traffic. I thought that was just super great. That was the beginning of conference experiences. You've been to conferences much more than I ever have, you. So eventually, I ended up going to DEF CON, right? All roads lead to DEF CON sooner or later.
At some point, we all end up in Hacker Summer Camp
Yes.
with 40,000 other people that we, many of them are like us and many of them are not. But the diversity is good. it's
out of the 30,000, I would say maybe 400 is like us. But Vegas is Vegas. It's a fucking nightmare in that sense. It's just grown-up kindergarten. I don't know what you think about Vegas, but it's crazy. So I got called out by the Ricks from the RF Village. So it was asking me if I wanted to do a talk. And, I was like, what, are you paying for my flights? Nope, we don't have that. Okay, fuck it. But it turned out we got the RV4 and we got some money for that. So we were able to fly into DEF CON and be there because we have to be in DEF CON. And that was my first real exposure to people who been using the Proxmark and things like that before, and people were like, oh yeah, you Iceman, wow, I want to shake your hand, I want to buy you a beer. I was like, who are you guys? What are you talking about? And it's like, this is very odd. It's like, I just do some Proxmark stuff. What are you talking about? And people's like, yeah, they know about me and do things. I'm like, I have no idea. Anyway, fast forward of that DEF CON stories. I've been to DEF CON several times and been doing talks. I end up a couple of years ago, I get a note saying, how about how in Vegas that you get this paper sent out to hotels saying...
I remember that paper. That paper.
It comes out every year.
Yep.
Both chains does it, the big ones, the two big ones. And they send it out to all the hotels. It's a paper saying, watch out for this kind of devices on the rooms, the room cleaning. Where you have to look in your room every third day. If you see hacker stickers, make sure that you inform us about the security on the premises. So people are telling me like, yeah, that the Proxmark is considered a burglar tool.
Yes.
I'm like, so what? So I've been having tons of Proxmark before over years.
It is so funny because I mean, I think I actually have one of the printed sheets here somewhere in my office of all the devices that was going around.
Yeah, last year was like this, so this year
Yeah.
as well. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you see the
what I
flip
try to
on that.
do is I try not to stay in the recommended hotels. I try to stay a little bit, not near Black Hat, not near DEF CON, but somewhere that is like, a little bit off the strip. So it's like, the hotels that tend to like, if you're not going to be near DEF CON, then all the hotels in that area are checking everything. So I try to get something that's a little bit off. And then I also stopped bringing a lot of stuff with me as well. Even my soldering kit, I was like, okay, I'm not. Because at the moment, because they can actually, you can get fines if you've been found soldering in the hotel room.
Man.
Because it's for smoking.
Oh, yeah, of
you can
course.
Get the smoking.
Yeah.
So they'll throw you a cleaning charge on that. But absolutely, I remember all those, the device was on that list. And it's just like, I always have laughed because even my kids have lockpicks and everything. It's actually, when I went to DEF CON this year, my son was like, I don't like my existing lockpick set because it's like really flimsy and it's all bent and stuff. I want a professional one. So what I had to do was I had to bring both them back professional lockpick sets. It's almost like a fidget for them, like something that they just play with. And actually,
it's really nice.
It started with, my son was coming to the office and he was wanting to play PlayStation all the time. I was like, no, you have to do something productive. I put the controller in a box and put a padlock on it and said, okay, if you can get the controller out of the box, you can play PlayStation. And they got really good at picking the lock. And then he moved on to hack the box from that and bug bounties and everything else afterwards. They love getting into a lot of the tools and toys and the Proxmark side of things. So I mean, my sons, we've actually built one using Arduino.
Wow.
From that side, so really kind of getting into the manual side of things. But you're right, is that these, like all tools, they can be misinterpreted for anything. A hammer can be a burglar tool, a crowbar a burglar tool, but it's not the only purpose of it. They can be used. For me, what I use a Proxmark for is to clone and copy cards, so I don't have to pay ridiculous fees for the office rental company where they'll charge you if I want a second key for my office. It's 50 euros. I've got all the stuff here to create my own card or to create backups or to really be curious about how things work as well. So maybe you can make them better. So it's not the only purpose. I think that's where they get misinterpreted, especially from people who don't understand them.
Well, it comes both ways, right? It could be like a knife could be used for good and bad. So if you take like implants, like biohackers, they use these RFID implants very much, and they really want to hack the cards and tags and then clone it onto illegal cards to have it with them because that's how they want to roll. And I have an implant as well. That's circumvent the whole idea of a card being secure if you can clone it. So it goes hand in hand, right? But back to that hotel story, it was kind of funny because I was invited for a bug bounty event, and I was there, and I was informed that the Proxmark was a burglar tool, and I was like, hey, I have a bunch of them, that's what I'm known for. So I was like, yeah. And I ended up speaking to one of the managers at the hotel, and it's like, so, is that going to be an issue? And the dude goes like, we know who you are. It's not a problem. It's like, okay.
It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, we've already done the research. We've seen you. We're watching you.
So you're one of the good guys.
Yes.
Stay that way. It's like, okay.
I think that's the difference, though, is that going to any tool is that it's the intention and motive that we all have.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference, between calling it a burglar tool is because, the person who's using it for that purpose, some people might be using it for that purpose, but, their motives and their intentions are very different from those who are understanding technology, making it better, making it more secure, making it more difficult. And at the same time, also educating the people on, how to use it properly, how to implement and configure it properly. Because I find a lot of times is that organizations and businesses and people use technology, they just don't configure correctly. And that's what creates the risks. They use the same ID across hundreds of keys, or they just didn't configure it basically in order to make sure that it has basically a unique key in the background or something, that's more using a version of the card, which is more difficult to crack or more challenging. So misconfigurations, and I think educating and making that aware makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think you raise a very fair set of questions and use cases for things, and all of them are valid. There's several of them, right? And I am for one of those people who's like, it's open source, make it work, make a copy of it so you don't get vendor locked in. But also, who are you if you're in a position to buy a system from a vendor? How do you analyze it? How do you verify their claims, right? You need to know the know-how, the tool setting for that, because, modern days. And then you need to do the right decision-making based on it, to see what is the actual risk involved here. Because in the end of the day, all the management and all this buying and selling is about risk management.
Yep.
You know that, I know that. It's nothing else. It doesn't matter how well you write your pen test report. The people in the management going to go like, interesting that you can burglarize that one. Nice, great. So what's the actual risk?
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that you're quite good at evaluating risk.
That's actually that's our jobs today, is risk evaluators. Different skill sets, but just we evaluate risk.
Yeah, but you need to know a whole heap of things technology-wise and tool-wise in order to be able to analyze that risk by just the word of mouth or knowing people who to ask. And then the next step is actually trying to do it yourself, right? But I am on that far end when I develop the tools that you guys work with. So that's the difference, right? So if people wonder what I do, I hack things because I'm making the tools, I'm making things better. And that enables people to do trainings for people. It enables people to tell other companies if it's good or bad, all of that. So my reputation in this field of hacking is based on that side because that's what I do. I mean, I guess people like that.
Absolutely. You're helping us create the tools that evaluates the risk that we use in order to determine, is this actually what the vendor or organization said they were doing?
Yes.
And then be able to hold them accountable when it's not true. So it's important. So a question, what things, what are you doing today? What are you working on today? You've been doing a few different types of conferences this year. So what's the fun stuff that you're working on at the moment?
I was not supposed to do very much conferences this year. I was supposed to do relaxing and stuff. It's been a nightmarish, extensive, excruciating, hardworking this year. Many parts. I've been doing a lot of research for the Black Hat Asia talk we did, and then starting up the company that I'm starting up.
You started a new company just recently.
Oh, it's a year old, but the web page is out now. Aurora Sec is out there. Yes, it's like now we exist. We have a web page. So yeah, that's it. I did, and then I have a private nature. My son needs to do an operation for some surgery, and I said I'm going to take off time to make sure that I can be there when he recuperates from it. And that got postponed, and it seems like I have a tendency to not be able to say no properly. So I went to I went to Troopers. I'm going to go to Balcon now in 2 weeks, and then I'm going to...
We talked about Balcon last time.
Yeah, it's a great conference in Serbia. And then I'm going to do some live hacking events and which I can't talk about. And then I'm going to be in SaintCon.
SaintCon, you went a couple of years ago to SaintCon.
I've been the last 2 years at SaintCon.
I would love to go to SaintCon.
It's a hardware place. It's really nice. It's really odd. It's a small 2,200 people, family, a lot of kids and all that. And everybody solders and hacks hardware. I'm like,
Salt Lake City.
Are you kidding me? We're so friendly, everybody there. And there's a magnificent nature there as well. It's like, there's some
Salt Lake City.
South of it. Yeah, Salt Lake City is there. So the conference is in Provo.
Provo. You wouldn't have, so my former employer, their headquarters is in Provo.
Yeah, it's a big black box, right?
There is a big black box.
A big black box in Provo, yes.
Yes, with a big building with lots of power getting used.
A lot of power getting used there.
So, but yeah, I spent a year of my life in Provo. I know the place so well. Yeah. Because my former employer was Altiris, and Altiris was started out of a lot of people who came from Novell. Novell, of course, started in Provo and American Fork and all those places. So my bosses were based there, and I would travel. I looked at my Marriott hotel nights. It was 360 plus days in Provo at the Marriott Hotel in Provo. So I still have my membership card for the comedy club there. So there's a comedy club in Provo, and also the Java Beans, which came and went a few times because they're not very welcoming to coffee and caffeine.
Not caffeine and not beers.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. Yeah, I like it. So yeah, so I'm doing that. I was also I applied for Code Blue in Japan.
Okay.
And then I promised to do a talk for Hack the Hills in Melbourne, Australia, but I most likely have to cancel those two occasions because the surgery has been
the surgery is going to be around that time. Yeah. Okay,
so I'm not going to be able to do that. So yeah, and then I hope to relax a little bit
and have a little bit of time for yourself, because that's what we need in this industry. We tend to always be on the forefront. It never sleeps. It never ends. It's constant. If you were to sit and look at the forums, you were to sit and look at all the research has to be done, we'd be working 24/7 and nonstop. So it's always important to find the time to focus on the hobby yourself, the things that you want. I always say that sometimes it's important to have hobbies outside of what we do, a little bit that's completely left to the field, in order to really sometimes take the mind off things.
Someone told me at Y camp now, the real summer hacker camp.
So we said
it's like you have a real tense in Europe, and instead of Vegas, but someone tell me that, well, Iceman, you always go to the conferences nowadays. You're like a conference junkie. It's like, well, it's kind of fun to go to conference. I get to hang out with Hacker Fam. I get to hang out with great people. I mean, end of the story. Talking to great people makes yourself feel so good about things, what you do, and you can share knowledge, and you just think, and you have fun. And they are people who understand your motivations, right? They because they're the same, similar.
Yes.
Right. So we all have a passion for something, right? So sometimes I'm like, and if I do a talk usually because they pay for me to get there. So it's not bad. So it almost becomes like my holiday in one way. But I also need to not do anything, and when I do that, I prefer to lay on a beach and do absolutely nothing, and I don't even have a computer with me. And
sometimes you could even have a physical book.
Yeah.
a proper book, or just music.
Oh, music is good, yeah. What do you listen to?
For me, I'm a big Blink 182, Blur. Old school Nirvana. So I'm pretty much a kid of my childhood was more 80s, early 90s rock alternative. So I have my old playlist that I pull up once in a while from 90s early rock.
That's great music from them. Oh, this is really good. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Yes, so I do like Imagine Dragons, Mumford & Sons. I'm going to One Republic concert soon. It's one of the next ones. So I do like, it's a little different. It's more kind of, pop type of, alternative, but it's good. That's some of the things.
It brings you joy. I listen to a lot of music in that sense, because I want to be in the zone, and that feels great to be in the zone. It's a hard concept to explain to people who don't do software development, but zone is a special place, what we love. The zone is the place.
When I'm writing, when I'm doing the kind of, after I've done the research, I need to get it out of my head.
Yeah.
I put some, usually it's either kind of electro music, something.
No lyrics.
No lyrics, just beats. So, and even sometimes even going to some of the, the good old DEF CON media library as well.
Oh yeah, Soma guys, Kampf, he does this DJ thing at Sencon, all that stuff. So it was great. So he, it's like, come listen to Soma. It's like, okay, so tune in there. Absolutely. I have another friend who does that. That was this spring. I was like, yeah, God, I feel weird and worn out. And he was like, yeah, when I do that, I listen to music. Yeah, I like progressive trance when I do this. And he was like, I got you covered, man. So he keeps on sending me this playlist, and I'm like, here's some good beats for you.
You're gonna have the shirt.
It's great.
You're gonna have the shirt. I feel, well, let's add it to the show notes. You have the shirt with me, so because that's something I do enjoy a good playlist. Even for me, when I go on snowboarding, I need to have something. I've got my helmet on. I've got my speakers in the helmet, and I'm just on the hill. I'm just like, okay, it's just
no
me.
mountains in Estonia.
There's no mountains in Estonia, but I have to go to Finland or Sweden. So next year's a Finland trip to get some good hills.
Are you going to go to Disobey?
I've been talking with you. Yes, I'm going to do some missions because the call for papers open at the moment, and I do plan to go to Disobey. That is the plan.
Cool.
I might give a training workshop there. So yeah.
What is it going to be about?
It's going to be basically probably hacking gamification, how to get started, how to take notes, how to improve your skills, how to find the right people to help you. So getting into the gamification side in order to improve your skills.
Cool. It's a lot of gamification, isn't it?
There's a lot of gamification. So for me, I run the community for the Baltics in Finland for Hack the Box. So every now and again, I'll do some type of live walkthroughs, different machines once in a while.
Do you do that on stream?
Not live on stream, no, because otherwise you'll see me like hitting the table or getting frustrated.
Yeah, it's important. I got some feedback about my talks about that, and we go like, yeah, we like that you're genuine. But I also think it's great that you talk about when you fail doing things.
Well, that's it. So when I had the conversations with Stoke and John Hammond, and we went through this whole conversation, and we talked about sometimes when we're showing, like one of my favorite conferences that I remember watching, it went online, which was KernelCon. And KernelCon, it was the one year where they actually streamed it all live. And they had it on Discord, they had the live stream. I think they were doing it on Twitch or something like that. And for me, it was one of the best because when they were doing the hacking gamification, that basically John would get a challenge and Joe Grand would also get a challenge, and they didn't know what they were going to get. And when they were going through and they had solved those puzzles and challenges, it really showed you that when you're failing, the failing part of it, it really highlighted that. And for me, that was one of the best. So if you ever get the chance, I'll actually put it in the show notes as well. Go back and look at the KernelCon. I think it was from about 2022, around that time frame. And it was with Joe Grants. There was John Hammond was on. There was Chris, who does the IDA Pro, Gidra. And it was really good. It was really good because it really got to the point. Because sometimes when you do edited videos, you show it all successful, how it should be done. But what you don't tend to show is, this is what I kind of like, is that the failures. Especially when even Ipsek's doing it. I like his style because he also shows, here's the rabbit holes, but you don't get the sense of how deep those rabbit holes are. That's the missing part. And for me, you'll probably see me going deep down a rabbit hole and getting really frustrated. And then my style is like, I know a guy who will go and help me get out of this rabbit hole. So I end up using my connections to help me solve things as well, which is what the real world is.
Yeah, but that's how you need to do it, right? So you need to do those things. You need to have connections and people who can help you out and who you can bounce ideas with. So I do have a YouTube channel as well, and I sometimes live stream my failures when I code, and I sit endlessly staring at the screens and go like, what am I doing wrong here? And then you figure shit out.
6 hours later.
Few moments later.
You still haven't moved. You're like...
Are you live, Iceman? No.
Oh, yeah. That would be classic to really show the full length of staring at a problem and then staring at it a different way. Maybe it's going to change.
But it's like that. It's hard to explain the problem-solving process because that's what we're into right now.
Yep.
How do you overcome problems? And for me, I heard, what I remember is a story from The Naked Chef. Jamie Oliver, and what he was doing, he was a biggie on things for 10 years ago, and he was doing things, and he was so frustrated. He was doing something for the community, for the schools, and making.
I remember.
Yeah, and he was super frustrated because he can't get on with it, and he's like, I can't think. I'll bake a bread, right? So he stopped doing that, and he stopped baking and kissing that bread, the dough thing, and I really took to heart with that because when I get stuck, I start coding something. Just whatever. I take up some old RFID cards and hack some old stuff. So I get into the flow, try to do some improvements or whatever. And then I'm in there. And then I'm not here. I'm in there, in that.
You're in the kind of the frame, but you're looking at a different problem. Sometimes looking at a different problem can give you a bit of, let's say, maybe if I tried this.
Yes. And that would be the number 4 takeaway from this.
So for everyone in the audience, how do you stay up to date? Where's your learning? What types of things? And when you're not, sitting on the beach listening to good music, how can the audience get in contact with you if they have questions? Is the Discord channel the best way?
Don't contact me anymore. I'm just joking. No, I'm always reachable in that sense. So Discord is a great place to learn, and to search and look at the pinned messages if you want to get stuck. It's always where I ask questions and the community will answer them, But for me, by now, I'm very blessed. I have a tremendous network of people that I can talk to, chat with, and it keeps on flowing in. I spoke to a guy who's been in a central organization for tools. And he said, when you're at that barnacle of the top part there in the pyramid, everything flows to you. The information always comes to you. So I'm at that point now, but information comes to me more, but I devour internet like X and LinkedIn. Since X, since the whole travesty with X. It was a nice info bubble before, which I like. I remember how it was. You went to X, you had this filtered bubble. It was great. You got all the hacks. You got all the knowledge.
You got the things you were interested in.
Yes, and you got it smack on. You got it 4 hours later, right? That was yours. That was the best thing. You was always aware. And that spread, right? So that spread out to Mastodon. That spread out to Blue Sky. And also on LinkedIn today, right? People use LinkedIn to say on hacker stuff. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? But there's what it is. It's on Slack. It's on Signal groups. I am in so many Signal groups everywhere, and it's in Discord servers everywhere. It's so spread out. So if you want to have knowledge, just go and join. If you're interested, I say focus on one thing. Focus on a device. Focus on one. If you want to do web hacking, great. Go and start looking for web hacking on YouTube, and you will find tons of great channels. Eric is one of them. Then you have Ben, whatever it was.
And Nahemsek.
Yeah, Nahemsek. Yeah, exactly. He does great as well. You look at those, and then in the end of the day, you have to start doing physical. You have to open the trunk, right? Fiddle with it. And then you do that, and then maybe you start doing some burp suit or whatever, and you start looking into that, and then you start looking at the issues, and then you start, here's a Discord server that talks about this, and then you have an entry into there, and then you have an interest, you have some knowledge, you ask questions. Never be afraid of asking questions, and if you have an asshole attitude towards you, that's a lousy server, and then you just drop that server because it's not worth your energy.
Yeah, that's one of my recommendations. Always, never be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, ask for help. Yeah,
if you struggle, it's probably even sometimes I've had that failure over the years. Is that I try to figure it out myself and not myself alone. Like I started off with Proxmark.
Same.
I started off with the Proxmark. It was like, I can do this.
Yeah,
and then I can't. No. At some point I'll fail, but I need to get how to get back on the road again. And it's the community and not being afraid to go and ask for help that it gets me back on track. And I always regret not doing it earlier because I think I wasted a lot of time in the past. I've wasted. I think even when I was doing my OSCP, I wasted too much time doing it solo.
Yes,
and I realized that I needed help, and I was fortunate enough to find the right people who could point me in the right direction. But I think if I look back, the lesson to my younger self was: don't be afraid to ask for help. It will reduce the waste of time.
And a final note on that one, man, is also if you don't know how to involve and get people shy and all that stuff, you know how hackers are sometimes, not always the social things. Doing a talk is really hard, but involve yourself in a village. So if you go to a DEF CON, which is super expensive, but they have lots of villages. Choose one or two, you visit a bunch of them, and then go and you go and ask them, say, hey, can I volunteer? Can I help out? And then it starts rolling, right? You're willing to put in the effort, and then people take, the open arms and just bring you in.
Absolutely. And you meet a lot of amazing people at the villages. So smart. And always willing to give back as well. They're always willing to give the time to you.
Yes.
So question for yourself, any plans to write a book at all, or to take your knowledge that you've got and put it somewhere, which would then, kind of, let's say.
I should, right? Shouldn't I?
You should. Yes. I think that's what I'm trying to get to, is you should write a book.
Maybe I should. I've been bouncing the idea of thinking I need a ghostwriter. I mean, I'm not good at writing it as you are, But
it's. I think you've probably taken a lot of documentation. you've taken your notes. It's getting someone to take the. I'm hoping. Looking at GitHub and looking at all the other places, you've done. Your probably code is your documentation. Taking that and taking a lot of the things you've written, forums and talks. I'm pretty sure you could get a ghostwriter or get a copywriter at least that will take all of that and put it into a format that would be storytelling and educational.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I would look into it. I think, and I would ask you for helpers.
I'm always willing to help. So, Iceman, it's been fantastic having you on the show. I really always enjoy. It's my favorite part of the week. It honestly is. And I do, miss meeting you up in person. So hopefully we'll be able to catch up at some conference in the near future and have a good couple of drinks. I'm sure my dog, Poodle Summer, Ellie's around here somewhere. I'm sure she misses you as well. So she'll send her thank yous and many thanks for taking the time today. It's been much appreciated. What's the best way, Discord, for the audience to connect with you?
Discord is the number one place if you want to do. I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, so yeah.
Okay. And any final words or comments to the audience you'd like to leave them with?
Hack the planet, man. Hack it.
For me, I have to watch Hackers at least once a year.
I'm very thankful for you to interview me and having you on your excellent show. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. I do enjoy you. You're one of those clever people, and you go like, interesting.
Thank you. It's people like that I surround myself like you that makes me who I am. So that's the person I am. That's my community and sphere that really inspires me.
I think that's a good thing to say to finish off with. Surround yourself with people that makes you feel better.
Absolutely, that makes you a better person and makes you enjoy life and have fun. Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure as always. So everyone, stay safe, take care. Tune in every 2 weeks for the Security by Default podcast. Until the next time. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of the Security by Default podcast, where the only thing we leave unpatched is our sense of humor. I've been your host, Joseph Carson, reminding you to update your software and rotate your passwords. Subscribe, share, and review the podcast. And please stay safe, stay weird, and we'll catch you next time.